Hi, this is Jess from Team Jasper, and we're going to be playing Scream Park today, available on DVC Games. Comes out in December. Here we have myself, Jess, and Jono.
Hello.
And Joey.
Hello, Spooky.
We're going to be playing a 3-person version of this game. Enjoy!
Hi, it's Jono again. I am going to be setting up and teaching Scream Park, and then we are all going to be playing it. This means that you'll get an idea of what the components are, how to prepare the game, how to teach the game, and ultimately what the game looks like when it's played and when it's finished. So hopefully that helps you understand how to approach it. Open it up. There's a lot in this box. Y'all want to grab some stuff, pull things out. Let's just get everything out of there. There is the rule sheet, which I'm going to throw everywhere.
It's full of spirits.
Also in the rules, the final printed rules is a QR code. If you have any questions about anything in the game, you can scan it or go to dvc.games if you have follow-up questions, because we have an FAQ. But in the meantime, so now let's start by clearing out the middle of the space a bit. Move that up there. All right, so we've got the mat in the middle of the board. We should make sure that we've divided up the different types of cards. First, there are scene cards. They say so on the back. On the front, you'll see the top part of the scene and the little add-on. So those are nice and shuffled. So Joey, can you go ahead and give this a little shuffle and put them on their spot?
Yep.
You should also have 20 of these double-sided genre cards. They don't have to be shuffled. When they're used, you get to look through and take the one you need for whatever purpose. We could just leave them right as is. We should also put our staff tokens right here where the staff group photo is. In case you forget, the alien is wearing the special, the meeple shirt.
That's really funny. I love that.
All right. And that gets us prepared. And now we have 3 different types of larger card. We have theme cards. We have VIP cards. Probably buried in here as well as finally reference cards for the players. So, what color does everyone like to be?
I'll take purple.
All right, so you get the purple star, the big purple VIP token, and if you want to be particular about it, you'll take the purple colored reminder card.
I'm going to be green.
Okay. And as usual, I will take yellow. We could return these remaining items back to the box, as well as the unused cards. If you notice, we've also left the lid of the box open because it has other reminders on it about the rules. It's just like a cheat sheet if someone doesn't want to open up the whole rule sheet. Now we need our VIPs. These change up the game in various ways in terms of scoring, but we'll give them a little shuffle and see what the universe decides for us. So we need a VIP for the first round.
A universe of mysteries.
Second round. Third round.
What trouble do you have in store?
Once we have those guys laid out, now which ones you use is up to you, but I would like to give a recommendation. There is one VIP that's a little harder than the rest, which is the Fire Marshal. If you want to have a tricky game, include the Fire Marshal, but if you would like to leave it out for your first game, I would totally understand. It doesn't really affect gameplay in a huge way, but it's definitely a little weirder. So those can go back to the box. We only need these 3. Then we need to give each person 2 theme cards. So 2 for you, 2 for you, and 2 for me. we're each going to select which theme card we want to play with. As we play the game, it's going to become more obvious why you would choose one over the other. But for now, you can just choose one that you like. This is the name of your haunted house that you're building. So I'm going to build the Twisted Wasteland.
I'm vibing with...
Oh, please go ahead.
I'm vibing with Castle Grim, so that's my choice.
And
I'm haunting it up with Cirque de Macabre.
Cirque du Macabre. All right.
Macabre.
All right. So once we have that going, we can return the theme cards we're not using to the box.
Buried alive.
And then you should set yourselves up as I do, where you have your theme card and you put your big VIP token above it and place your scoring token on 0 on the mat. All right. Now that we have set up, we can talk about how to play. The best way to do so, I believe, is by understanding how to win. This is a competitive game. Jess, Joey, and I are all trying to get the highest score possible in 3 rounds, represented as Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of opening weekend. We are trying to design the best haunted houses to impress our customers and our boss and the VIPs that come and visit us. So we will be building out a tableau of cards that represent our haunted house. We'll each work on our own haunted house that we'll build from left to right. The main cards we'll be interacting with are scene cards, which come from this deck. It might be worth right now to go over the content of those cards so that you know what you're looking at before we progress to how a turn is played. Now that we are done setting up, we have one last bit, which is to give ourselves a little starting resources. We each get 2 staff tokens, which we can leave over to the side to use while playing. Here is an example card, the subway station. You'll notice that each card is divided into 2 parts. There's a top part, the scene, the bottom part, which is the add-on. So this top part has a few things going on besides beautiful art by Nick Tafani. It has a star in the corner. Stars represent points in the notation of this game. So this card can be worth 2 points at the end of the game after all 3 rounds are done, as long as you decorate it correctly. You're building a little subway station scary scene. You need these 2 things at the end of the game in order to consider this room complete. So, if we see on the subway station, we have these 2 symbols. We got the little creepy doll and the little beaker. These need to be present in the room at the end of play to score those points. And at the bottom, we have an add-on. In this case, we have a costumed character. We have the little shape of a meeple, and it gives us a bit of gore or knife and a little bit of sci-fi or this beaker. This is one of the 3 different types of add-on that you can see on cards.
Normally when, because all 3 of us work at a local haunted house called Frightmare Farms, and normally when it involves putting a person or character in a costume, we normally check to say, hey, what character or creature fits best into this area? And normally we have like a plethora of costumes that we mix and match or buy or reuse or create in order to create the monster that we think is not only going to help progress the theme of the attraction, but also get the best scare out of somebody.
And that's a really good point when it comes to how this game came to fruition because of the reusing of last year's everything. So while you have this card, the reason it's divided in half is because the main mechanic of this game is going to be combining cards together. Yes, you can have the subway station and have the abomination that comes with it, or you can take the abomination and put it into a different room like this. Doing this removes the subway station entirely, and instead we just focus on the fact that we put the person in costume in a different scene, which is useful. If you see here, this scene, to get your 2 points at the end of the game, requires a creepy doll and a little bloody knife. And it has a little creepy doll on it, which is great, but it means you need a bloody knife. Luckily, the abomination introduces that vibe to the scene. So in this scenario, at the end of the game, this would be considered a complete scene and you would get your 2 points. Yes, it might have an extra symbol, does not matter for that particular part of scoring. This is your biggest way of scoring points, is completing these requirements to decorate these rooms. Now, you may have seen that these cards have different things going on at the bottom. For example, the costume characters require a staff. When this card is played, you need to be able to pay a staff member in order to get in that costume. So that is one use for these staff tokens. The second type of card is special effects. Adding special effects rooms, they all have a little lightning bolt on them, and there's only 4 types. You'll see them across all different types of cards at different point values, but they all work the same way as long as you see the same symbol. So for example, you see here we have the hidden trapdoor. When we get to it later, this will allow a scene to advance your VIP. Now again, you don't know what that means yet, but that's why there's a little picture of a guy, because our VIP will advance through the haunted house. There is the cancel out a symbol. This is used to make another thing cheaper to complete. Normally this needs 2 candles, but because of this X with the diamond, much like the diamond up here, if this is part of a scene, ignore one symbol of your choice at the end of the game, so you don't have to decide immediately what it means. If you add it onto another card, it's almost like a wild card. Ignore a symbol of your choice. You have the gain a staff. When you place this in your haunted house, you immediately just take 1 staff token and add it to your supply. And finally, this multiplier. When we get to them in a moment, this card can act as a duplicate of an existing decor card. Now, you may have seen that these cards have different things going on at the bottom. For example, the costume characters require a staff. When this card is played, you need to be able to pay a staff member in order to get in that costume. So that is one use for these staff tokens. The second type of card is special effects. Adding special effects rooms, they all have a little lightning bolt on them, and there's only 4 types. You'll see them across all different types of cards at different point values, but they all work the same way as long as you see the same symbol. So for example, you see here we have the hidden trapdoor. When we get to it later, this will allow a scene to advance your VIP. Now again, you don't know what that means yet, but that's why there's a little picture of a guy, because our VIP will advance through the haunted house. There is the cancel out a symbol. This is used to make another thing cheaper to complete. Normally this needs 2 candles, but because of this X with the diamond, much like the diamond up here, if this is part of a scene, ignore one symbol of your choice at the end of the game, so you don't have to decide immediately what it means. If you add it onto another card, it's almost like a wild card. Ignore a symbol of your choice. You have the gain a staff. When you place this in your haunted house, you immediately just take 1 staff token and add it to your supply. And finally, this multiplier. When we get to them in a moment, This can act as a duplicate of an existing scenic card that is in your space. That's why it's round, because we'll see in a moment that the last type of symbol is round. So if this is part of your scene and your scene were to have a round symbol, this can count as a second one of that. Finally, the last type of card you might see are scenic cards. These normally just give a single genre symbol to help complete our room. So this medical wing needs a knife, so I can always add this unholy altar to it in order to help complete it. And then I'm still going to need one more doll, but that symbol matters for scoring. At the end of the game, each complete set of symbols is worth 6 points. There are 4 different symbols. And because they can come up and be distributed a bit randomly, that creates extra value for this ability that lets you double a symbol. Because if I have the medical wing with its little light bulb, and I add the zipline bats can act as a second light bulb when you're counting up those points at the end of the game.
And if you need help remembering all those icons that Jono just showed you, you have a reference card that shows your icons on the front and what they mean, and on the back, scoring, which Jono will get into in a moment.
So, what does it look like to get points on the board? I've just described what the cards do, but in context, you'll be arranging cards over the course of the game like so, where they will be built from left to right. At the same time, you'll be adding cards you take under existing cards in order to help complete them. Now, besides completing scenes, which is one way of getting points, another way being the scenic symbols, which you're trying to get sets of, it's worth noting that whichever player has the most special ability lightning bolts will get 3 extra points, and you will get a point for each costume that you decide to keep. So these cards that require you to spend a staff member are worth a bonus point each. Beyond placing these cards and all the things I just described to score at the end of the game, you will also be scoring points at the end of each round, the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday. One of the ways you are scoring points is from your theme. This is the name of your haunted house, but also the 2 favorite types of horror in your design. In this case, I'm looking for bloody knives. I'm looking for sci-fi beakers. So at the end of a round, I'm going to gain a point for each scene that has a bloody knife and each scene that has a beaker. It's worth noting that it is not counting the diamonds. The diamonds are what you need, not what it gives you. And critically, you're not counting per symbol. So while I get 1 point for each scene with any beakers, this scene has 2 beakers, it's only 1 point. It has a knife, only 1 point. So the most you can get for a given scene is 2 points, 1 for each symbol. So this scene has both, so that's worth 2 points. 0, 0, and 0. It's worth noting that this ability doesn't provide an actual symbol, so it does not give you points for your theme. It just makes it easier to complete this top part. Now, if I decide to include this unholy altar somewhere, I could have included it here, even though I don't need the knife for this card. I decided to keep the coherency of my design of my Twisted Wasteland by throwing a bloody altar into my rotting kitchen because I need to try to stay on theme this year and get that extra point, even if the rotting kitchen doesn't need it. This is totally okay. There is no limit to the height of these scenes. You can place a whole bunch of cards in one scene if you feel like it will benefit you. Now, if you're paying attention to the details here, you might have noticed that I put them in order. There are 2-point cards, 4-point cards, and 6-point cards. This is because during play, when you gain new scenes, you're always working left to right. You're not jumping around. That's a no-no. You're always moving from left to right. This also means you need to be increasing the thrill of your haunted house. So it is mandatory that you must always equal or go greater than the previous points. So I can put this 4 next to the 2, and I can put another 4 next to it, but I can't put a 2 here anymore. This 4 can only be followed by a 4 or a 6. And once I've placed a 6 down, I can only place 6s after it. Very importantly, the second use of a staff member is you can send them to go build. If I ever get a card and go, ooh, I'd love to have this subway system because the subway system really matches my theme, I can spend one of these in order to move everything and put it in where I want it.
Our costume characters are very talented, so sending someone to go build makes sense in the real haunt world, because there's kind of this community theater vibe where someone who is acting for you usually has another skill set that is utilized, like building. We also have actors that do costume, makeup, so just a fun little touch there.
Yeah, and this is an interesting example. I place this card here, so that'll cost a person to place it out of order, but critically, it also costs another staff member. So I just lost 2 staff members to put this card here. So hopefully that was super worth it for me to do. And I mean, we're filming this right in the middle of our haunt season. This feels like what we dealt with last weekend, where I was even in the position of, do I dress up as the fortune teller, or do I have to put on like regular like security guard type like standard clothing because I need to go help with lines, right? And go do something else or go fix something because things break all the time, and you might find yourself going and changing something. They because of rain, they redirected a whole haunted house this weekend, right? The haunted estate.
And that happens a lot, where sometimes entire parts of the attraction will just get rained out, and we have to reroute people into different areas. I know for me, I'm the assistant manager of one of my attractions, and I have to handle all like the electrical and make sure that's good. But then I'm also a storyteller on the hayride, so I have to be in direct communication with someone. Otherwise, so it's many hats.
All right, so even using our reference card to help us figure out what we are up to, we understand what these things are. We have costs, we have points, we know what the different symbols mean, including whether or not require staff and what the different abilities mean. And we've learned a lot about scoring. We've learned about 2 points for the different themes. We've learned end of game scoring, like completing scenes, abilities, staffing, and sets of scenic symbols. But finally, the VIP. The VIP is the most unique mechanic, I would say, of this experience, which is very true to life, is that every weekend someone shows up that you have to perform a little extra for. It's going to be the news crew. It's going to be someone from another haunted house. It's going to be a person who's related to someone in charge who's now going to, find what you're doing right or wrong and report it. And it's going to kind of be a big thing, or someone who leaves a review. So these VIP cards represent the big VIP visiting each night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is an end of round scoring goal. So after the first round of play, we're going to look at our haunted house and see how well we score for the review blogger, at which point it'll be placed face down. And on the second day, we will be moving on to the next one, the news crew. So you can plan for future rounds where you are deciding what to do here to try to appease many VIPs, or maybe you can focus on just one. That's up to you. So here with the review blogger, advance if the next scene is complete. What does advance mean? At the end of the round, your VIP will go through the haunted house. Each scene that the VIP visits will score you 2 points. That one, the review blogger is looking for complete scenes. As we noted before, this card on its own is not complete. It needs 2 creepy dolls. It only has 1 creepy doll. So if during play we added the bright campfire to it, if we remember this ability is a little wild card, this is complete now. This can cancel out one of those creepy dolls. So not only we get the 2 points at the end of the game, But when the review blogger comes to visit, we advance to here.
Wow, I'm really vibing with the aesthetics here. My dream is to be a top influencer.
Thank you, Jess. Oh, goodness, I do not want to know what the town board member sounds like. There's too many awful, scary monsters. I want my money back.
Okay, I know someone who sounds exactly like that. That's kind of scared me a little bit.
So, yeah, if you ever ask someone who works in a haunted house who the real monsters are, it's the customers that have way too much power over us. And before you ask, no, we do not have a Karen card. But we have everything else, I would suspect.
That would be my scariest card.
Yeah, well, we can make that a promo for a convention or something, right? We'll call up Nick. So, the VIP will advance through the rooms based on whether or not they fulfill the requirements. So this one is a complete scene, and then we advance. And this is all at the end of the round. Now, this is incomplete. The police precinct does not have the little bloody knife. I might not have gotten around to it or had a card for it, but it does have that special ability, that advanced special ability, the hidden trap door. Even if the VIP doesn't like it, he has fallen through the trap door. So the advanced ability pushes the VIP into the room even if it doesn't fulfill the requirements. The next one has doll, knife. We only have a doll. Even if we had our abomination in there, we are still missing a doll. This is not complete. The VIP does not advance. So at the end of the round, when we're checking, we go good. Nope, we're stopped there. That's 4 points, 2 for each scene. Important note is that this ability works even if it is as part of another scene, but it's not a teleporter. If we put this over here, the VIP doesn't skip all the way to it. It still has to go through all the other scenes first before going in there. A useful thing about these little VIP movement cards is that they work multiple times. So I don't have to worry about this scene fulfilling any of these goals as long as this is here, which is excellent if I get that early in the game and how I can plan and focus on other things. It is also worth noting that once you've scored, so we make it there, and I get my 4 points at the end of the round, along with my points for my theme card, this resets. So it always starts from the beginning at the end of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It might help you while playing. You can advance it during the round if you want to try to keep track of how far it's getting. But remember, if you spend a staff member to put in a new scene, and that scene doesn't reflect the goal, the VIP never would have passed through it. You're going to have to remember to send them back because they don't get into the first room. All right, so now that we have gone over the ways that you win the game, we're going to actually start playing. I recommend at this point, if people understand the different ways to score and everything else, that we are ready to start playing. So each player at the start of a round is dealt 8 cards that they're going to utilize. 2 of them will stay. The rest of the cards will pass. They pass in the direction on the day. So on Friday, we are passing to the left, Saturday to the right, and Sunday to the left. So once I am done with my turn, I'm going to be passing these cards to the left. This is going to continue until we've taken 4 turns. You keep 2 cards from each hand, including the 2 cards from the final hand. Now, I'm going to talk through what I've got in my hand, and then I'm going to hear from the other ones. So I'm going to sort myself by number, because I know if I put down, let's say, a 6-pointer, I'm now going to be stuck only doing 6-pointers unless I spend staff a lot to move things around. I also know that the review blogger is looking for complete scenes. I could look at the future ones, but I'm feeling like keeping it simple today, so I'm going to focus on that review blogger. So I like the idea of this autopsy station. All we need is a knife in order to complete it. So maybe there's one in this hand so I can place them down as a pair. Nope. But the giant projector eliminates a value. So that's actually a pairing that can go together. Once I have made my selection, I can go ahead and put it in play and leave the rest of the cards on the table to pass to the next player. I just need to remember, this is a costume character. My dissected patient needs a person in it. So that goes back there. Now, this will only sort of work out for me because keep in mind I'm looking for bloody knives, green sci-fi symbols. This is neither, so it's not going to get me points in that respect, but it's definitely going to get me value for my VIP later. What are you looking at?
So I have an interesting deck in that I don't have a lot that fulfill my symbols because I'm supposed to be aiming for books and candles. So what I'm going to choose is the Forgotten Forest, because even though I don't have a candle yet, it does require a creepy gore knife and a candle. So even though gore doesn't fulfill my theme, it's still going to at least help me with progressing my scene, and it's a low cost too, so that's a good starting point.
Yeah, and even if you don't complete it, your review blogger is still going to move in here because of the bog fog. So that's going to be really great.
Yep.
What's your second card you're going to choose?
Then I'm also going to choose the Forsaken Chapel. It has a ghoul priest in it. And I haven't even gotten to Castle Grim, and I'm building a story in my head. This is like on the journey to Castle Grim, so I'm going to have like 2 establishing scene cards before I actually get inside the castle.
Oh, it already has a book on it too, so that's going to give you some value there, and it needs a candle. That's cool. But it's a 4-pointer, so it means that you're kind of committing to ramping up kind of early if you're making that a second scene.
Yep, sure am.
Which is actually really cool that you're doing that kind of ramp up, because each of the themes that we have here are based on a specific genre of horror movie. So with Jess, they're working with Castle Grim, which is based off of gothic, classic black and white movies. And it's very common that those movies, and gothic in general, always have that sort of lead up, that sort of disturbing, sort of getting into the creepiness of it. So that's kind of cool. You know, getting the Dracula's castle, there's a whole creepy thing that goes on just to get there. So I love that.
Yeah, that's what I thought about with my forest and the establishing shot. Because you don't get right to the castle. There's usually something foreboding about the scenery.
That's the
around
word I
it.
was looking for, the foreboding sort of build up.
Absolutely.
So with mine, I had the opposite of Jess. I actually had a lot that went with my theme in my deck, in my hand. So I'm going to start my attraction with the Psychic Parlor, with the Fortune Teller, who is actually Jono's character at the Haunt this year.
That's true. That's basically what I look like. So
You have such lovely purple eyes.
thank you. It's the evil.
And then underneath it, I'm going to put the Skittering Critters, which once I apply a staff member to play the Fortune Teller, which will be Jono. Hi, Jono. Oh, I have to get rid of it. Then that completes this attraction, and I get to move up my review blocker.
Yeah, which is okay if you want to do that. Just remember, if you ever put a scene in earlier, just be careful. You need to make sure that you don't accidentally put the VIP further than it should be. So I like doing this sometimes, but keeping track of it, awesome. So now that we've each used 2 cards, we're going to move on to our next hand. Now note that Jess used those 2 cards to be 2 scenes. Joey and I both did the scene card combo. There are 2 other options for what to do with your cards. When you've selected 2 cards, so let's say I look at this hand and I hate it, I can choose to discard a card for 2 new staff members, simply starting a discard pile off to the side of the box. I can even discard both for 4 staff members, if I so desire. And finally, if you noticed, Jess and I both didn't get the symbols that we necessarily wanted. If we wanted certain symbols, we can kind of force it. If you discard both cards you choose, you can search through this deck for the symbol that you're missing. For example, if I really wanted this gory knife, I could do this to add the gory knife here. It's not worth any points. It doesn't have any abilities on it. This is a last resort. Having it makes a huge difference to you and your score. Then that's great. Go for it. That's why they're there. They're not meant to be part limited, so you should search through and find the one you need. There's quite a few copies. So those are options as well. We'll see by the end of play if that ends up coming up. But for now, let's look at our new hand.
I'm also noting, folks, that in the previous round, my Gold Priest required a costume character, so I'm just doing my due diligence and following the rule and putting him back in the group photo of characters.
Okay, so as I noted before, I'm knife and sci-fi. Can I find... that's a good one. Let's go ahead and get this 2-pointer that has some sci-fi going on. I'm definitely going to use that. And then, let's see. That scene needs another sci-fi symbol. I could lose my other token to apply the Hag Witch, which is a picture of Jess's character from The Haunt.
Her name's Twyla.
Her name's Twyla. You can also find her hiding behind the logo on the family photo. So, or do I want to invest in kind of lengthening this out? Again, I'm looking for an easy approach is looking for the knives and the sci-fi, and this decrepit hut is nice, and so is this sewer system. I like both of these. And I really like getting the scenic symbols, because getting the set of 4 is 6 points. That's actually a big boost if you give it some attention. So now, I didn't have to commit to this immediately, so as part of my turn, I am arranging these. This is my move, is 2 more scenes. They're incomplete, so the review blogger's not going anywhere, but I'm happy with that. All right, Jess, what are you adding to your haunted house?
So I'm adding, as the first room they enter in Castle Grim, I'm adding an alchemy room with shifting symbols.
All right.
Okay, but what is the owner of this castle? What dark forces are they messing with? In an interesting way that we do tend to shoehorn things sometimes in the haunted house world with lore, I'm going to be adding just the living mummy into my very first part here. Perhaps the mummy has escaped and is trying to warn people about Castle Grim. Who knows?
I just love the theme here that everyone in your part of the haunted house is just fully screaming at all times.
And since I believe the mummy is also costumed, yes.
It is, so you're going to have to spend that other token.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing you're seeing here, Jess played this last turn. You don't have to give up on it. When you play cards, you can add them onto an earlier scene. So Jess can actually add that to a card from the previous turn or even a previous round. You get to edit this how you need to and add cards to scenes in order to build up your creation.
Which now this card is complete because both the gore and the mystery are now fulfilled.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, it never needed it to be complete, did it?
Well, for the VIP, but it helps.
No, because it has the ability, the VIP always enters it. So even if it was incomplete, the VIP still would enter it.
True, I'm doing it more for
end game scoring, absolutely.
Fair. I have a question. Let's say I want to take a card like this, and I want to put it on top. Can I do that?
Nope. Once you have chosen your scenes, these cards will always remain the top cards. You can only add to them, but you can't push them down.
Which is good because if anyone's worked in theater or haunted house before, it's really hard to move or change a room once it's been set up.
Yeah, once the walls are up, that's that.
That's that. But for my turn, because for circuses they're kind of all over the place, my next part is going to be a cornfield with my scarecrow, and underneath him, he's going to be attached to a ceiling harness.
Oh, yeah, that's totally a normal day at a haunted house, is a random character in a ceiling harness.
Ceiling harness. Which is great because of this little X. This room is now complete for me because I don't need this symbol, so I can move my character forward. But I do have to pay a guy in order to activate the room. So far, my haunt is fully operational.
Yeah, that scarecrow costs a person. So now we take our new hand of cards of 4 cards and continue playing. All right, so we're almost done. We're halfway through the round. I only have 2 pointers, but the nice thing about 2 pointers is they only ever need 1 symbol. I'm not sure if you ever noticed that 2 pointers only ever need 1 symbol to be completed. 4 pointers need 2 symbols, and the 6 pointers need 3 symbols.
Oh, that's smart.
So there is a direct relationship between the work and the point value. Now, I've got blood and sci-fi, which if we looked here earlier, we actually set ourselves pretty good for this. So let's dive right in. Their sewer system is getting some gutted fish. That's fantastic, which will complete it. And the crashed pod with the strange debris will also get some sample tanks. That also completes that. Oh, heck yeah. My twisted waste. I'm not sure if I'm up to the twisted part of this wasteland, but I don't know. I think I'm getting the plot of District 9 to some degree.
Definitely the plot of District 9.
I'm getting a touch of that. So I'll place these here. And
Okay, so I have decided that I'm going to first discard the Grand Arena for 2 crew.
yeah, 2 staff.
In a way, it's also very sad for Joey because 2 of those symbols fulfill things.
Are
that
super.
Oh, that's
for me.
right.
Yeah.
So if you're going to discard a card, you might as well discard something someone else needs. And it's funny because this is also Joey's character at the haunted house.
It is.
The-
My character at the haunted house. Well, my character when I worked at the Museum of Intrigue was a magician, but the haunted house I play a character called Tonic Tom, who is a southern potion maker from New Orleans. So I play that character, and he's a lot of fun.
You're right. That is closer to your.
I was going to say, yeah,
pattern
closer to your intrigue magician.
Ace, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm going to play the Hag Witch.
Oh, you're playing yourself.
Yep, I'm playing.
Wait, hold on. So I get to play Jono's character, you get to play your character, but you destroy my character?
Goodbye.
That doesn't seem fair.
Didn't make it in, didn't make it to the haunt this
Didn't make
year.
the cut.
Didn't make the cut this year, but it's great because Jess was able to discard a card to get those staff members, and then play the card using the staff member that they just received. Excellent.
I'm gonna do something kind of similar because I have a lot of 4 and 6 cards in my hand, and I don't really feel like moving up to the next level yet. So I'm going to put Disturbing Tones in Jono's room.
Oh, that's gonna be called my room now.
Jono's. And that'll at least help me later because it's got a creepy doll in it. And I'm going to discard the Ghost Light in order to gain a staff member.
That's 2 staff members.
Oh, 2 staff members.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably going to need them later on.
Continuing to the last hand, you play down to the last 2 cards. So I've got Constant Laughter, Defective Robot. I have only 1 staff member to work with. This does have our fun little sci-fi on it. This one doesn't fit our theme. And if I'm looking for types of different symbols, I am in a tough spot. I have 1 little speaker symbol and 3 of the skulls. So if I'm looking for sets of scenic symbols, I really don't want more skulls and more speakers. So this isn't necessarily super great. This is a bit expensive. And I actually also want to look ahead now a little bit because I'm a tryhard. The news crew next round is advancing if a room has 3 or more cards in it. So I think I'm going to do a few things at once and recognize that I'm not getting my full theme in these rooms. This room's getting a point for the knife, and this room's getting a point for having a beaker. This room's getting nothing. So I'd like to start working with that. So for my turn, I'm going to discard both cards.
Whoa.
I'm discarding both cards to get a symbol of my choice. So I'm going to go ahead and get a sci-fi symbol and add it to the scene. Because now there's 3 cards, now there's sci-fi, and that's also going to be good because, yes, extra super double try hard. The Haunt Brat advances if the next scene has 2 or more symbols that are not in the cost. I could have got the bloody knife, but I got the sci-fi to work towards this because there's no sci-fi in the cost it's going to apply for that as well. What do you have?
I'm going to be turning in my 2 cards for a genre card as well, just because I haven't done very well of earning what I need for this card. I want to be able to start adding more to my scene. I want to start adding more to Castle Grim. So I'm going to turn these in, and I'm going to get a mystery.
With Jono talking about looking ahead to the news crew, I am going to take the pneumatic spider and put that in the cornfield, because that kind of makes sense, right? Giant spiders.
Well, so the scarecrow's in a ceiling harness, and there's a pneumatic spider. Just keeping track.
Yeah, so
this is a normal cornfield.
So
this is every cornfield I've ever seen.
Imagine like a scarecrow falling from the ceiling, and then a spider hitting you from underneath. You're kind of screwed no matter where you go.
This is the spookiest version of Iowa ever explained. But critically, that card has the plus staff member, so placing that card does immediately give you 1 extra staff token.
Then I'm actually going to get a few more, because I'm going to discard the big chandelier to get 2 more staff members. So I have just...
You're ready.
I'm ready to go. And everyone's being paid well, I promise.
All right. We're out of cards. It is the end of Friday, so we should score both things. It says we should first start with scoring our theme. Remember, up to 2 points per scene column. We're not doing it using the diamonds, and we're not doing this per symbol, just if the symbol's there. So, is there a knife or a beaker in this scene? There's a beaker, so I get 1 point. Here, there's a knife, 1 point. And here there are 2 beakers, but you don't do it per symbol. There's just a beaker at all, 1 point. So that's 1, 2, 3 points on the board for me. How about your theme?
I'm mystery, the candle, and books, which are
Lore.
Lore.
So I have 1 candle here, 1 point, and a book here, and a candle. So it goes 1, 2, then also a book and a candle here. So
2 more,
2
so
more.
that's 5.
5.
1, 2, and 2, so 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I have a creepy doll and a candle. So I move up 2, and then here I only have a doll, so I have 3 points.
All right. And now we've been moving our VIP along. Jess is going to do it at the end of the round. We've been doing it as we go, but we get 2, 4, 6 points for yellow, please.
So you have
Putting me
6
at
points.
9. And then I reset it. How far did yours go?
Because the rule is advance if the scene is complete. This is where I am staying.
So, all right. And what do we have over there?
I'm stuck here because that next scene is not complete.
All right. So that's 2 points for purple.
Gotcha. And then I was able to get my VIP to the second room, so that ties me with Jess at 7 points.
All right. In which case, everyone resets their VIP back. You don't get more staff members between rounds, but we will deal a new fresh hand of cards and turn the review blogger face down. It no longer applies to play. And remember, this round we are passing to the right. So, and we're trying to have 3 or more cards in a scene is how you advance. Okay. I'm definitely playing this card on my sewer system because at the end of the game it doubles a symbol. And I'm going to use it to, at the end I get to choose, does it double the skull, or does it double the speaker? I'm going to double the speaker since I'm moving in the direction of having a whole lot of sets if I actually really focus on it. And I'm putting my abduction beam here and then passing to the right.
I'm digging this Hall of Mirrors and Uncanny Mimics. So. Costume.
But now we do end of game scoring. So before you do end of game scoring, it's worth looking at your neighbors to make sure that their numbers are in the right order. 2, 2, 4, 4, 4. Now over here we have 2, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 6, 6, and then all 2s, 4, 6, 6. Okay, so we all did that in order. If anyone screws that up, they simply don't score that scene. So, but everything's in order. So, everyone count up their points from completed scenes. I completed, I think, all my scenes but one. So that's 2, 4, 6. This is incomplete. 12, 18. So that's a big chunk of points.
I also completed all but one, so that's going to be 2, 4. This is 6, 10, 14. Skip that one. 6, 20.
20. So.
I also completed all my scenes, so that would be 2, 4, 8, 12, and 16.
You're the only one that completed all your scenes. I completed all but one.
All right. Next up, who has the most lightning bolts? A little bonus thing for whoever has the most lightning bolts. I really didn't use them. I have 4?
I also have 4.
I have 8.
I have 5,
Oh.
but Joey still has more.
So Joey gets the 3 points. 1, 2, 3. In a tight game, that does matter. And now you get a point for each costumed character you have. So you can usually judge that just by the symbol. 6 for me.
7.
Same.
Ooh, it's a tie.
And sets of scenic symbols. This is my money thing because I have 3 skulls. Because I have the doubler here, I have 2 sound speakers. I have 2 of the candlesticks and 2 of the light bulbs. So that's 2 sets. That extra skull means nothing, but that is an extra 12 points.
Dang.
Giving me a whopping 83 as my final score.
I got 0 because I'm
No
missing a
set.
skull.
You don't have a skull. It's right here. It's in my area. I've got that skull.
I also have 0. I am missing a candelabra.
You heard here first, don't sleep on your scenic decor.
Yeah.
Environment makes the haunt. So, with that, the final score is at 83, 63, and 62. Sorry, I smoked y'all.
It wasn't
I
even.
had fun.
It wasn't even a competition.
Yeah. But that is how you play Scream Park.
Love this game.
Yeah, it's our little love letter to this thing that the 3 of us particularly get to participate in every year in making these houses. Lots of different themes, lots of different VIPs. Again, if you have any questions about any of these cards, go on Board Game Geek, email us, contact us on social media, or check out our FAQ. If you go to the Scream Park page on DVC.games, there's a link to the FAQ. There's also a QR code in your rules. If you have questions besides your reference card, there's also a little summary of your choices, reminding you about hiring staff and adding genre card, how to use staff, and that reminder about the order of the scenes. That's all covered on the inside of the lid in order to help you out. I hope you enjoy the game and have a most excellent and happy Halloween.
Team Jasper signing off.
Team Jasper signing off.
Team Jasper signing off.